So I haven't been eating a lot today because that's usually my schedule at these kind of shows. So why not stop by the Don't Starve booth? Not sure they have any food for me here.
I'm sorry to disappoint, but no food for you, I'm afraid.
But we do get to learn a little bit more about a game that's very different from Klei Entertainment. I think your fans have gotten to know you and your previous games, but this is something entirely different, isn't it?
Yeah, so like Shank 2 and Mark of the Ninja are very different games from Don't Starve. Don't Starve's more, I think, a survival and adventure game than the other guys are pretty much a hack and slash, or in the case of Mark of the Ninja, very sneaky. We tried this as kind of an experiment. We wanted to try something new, try a new business model, see what we could learn from that. And as each part of the experiment progressed, we decided, oh, we need to take this a little bit further. It started on Google Chrome, and when we moved from Google Chrome to Steam, it got even better for us, and so we thought, okay, we'll keep going.
So what has this experience been like for you? Because you invited players along quite early on when you started making the game.
Yeah, I have to say that it's one of the most awesome experiences I've ever had making a game. Originally we were making the game for ourselves, and then we thought of inviting everybody else on board as well, and that has changed how we develop this game. Like every week we look through the forum, and it's really fun to talk to everybody and get their feedback, the things they like and things they don't like. I personally get a lot out of that. Like, I get excited when I see someone talk about the things that I work on and say, oh, I really didn't like that, but this is what you could do. And then I get inspiration from that and I try to make it better. So I think the release schedule of every 2 weeks helps that, and so that we get immediate feedback and we can incorporate the feedback in the next week and then the next week and the next week. So yeah, it's been awesome. It really has. It's been great. It's most fun. Yeah.
Have you met any players here at PAX this year?
Yeah, a whole bunch of people have come up and said how much they like the game. So to me, that's the first time that's ever happened, and yeah, it's pretty awesome actually. Yeah.
So what's the plans ahead with Don't Starve? Where are you taking this in the future?
So it's going to be released on April 23rd, and then our promise to the players is that we'll keep developing for another 6 months, release new features and new content. And in that time we want to develop the characters a little bit more, and probably a few presets for the world generation so that we can give people more options for that kind of thing. Maybe give them a little more story, maybe. It just depends on what happens. It's quite fluid. Each fortnight, when we're talking about what we're going to do next, it can actually change like the whole direction. We used to have a saying that every Tuesday was Pivot Tuesday, because we've changed so much about what the game is. It's more stable now about the direction it's taken, especially because it's so close to release. But there are always options to incorporate something new and unforeseen, I think.
So I think something that stands out about Klei games is the art style, but you took it in a little bit of a different direction with Don't Starve. What was the idea behind that?
I actually can't answer that one terribly well. Jeff, our art director, is just absolutely brilliant in that respect, and our whole art team's done an amazing job. I wish they were here to hear what everybody says. That's usually the first thing people say about the game, is they like the look, and I think without that, the game wouldn't have the soul that it has. It wouldn't have the humor that it has and the darkness that it has. And so yeah, I really like it, but I can't speak to how they came up with it.
So how is the process? Does the art come first, or does where does things start?
So usually what we'll do is we'll talk about like what we want to do next as a group, and then the engineers will go off and they'll like kind of make up a couple of ideas for that, and we'll go and request art in a particular, like we'll say, oh, can we have a new guy, and we kind of want him to look like this, you know, we want him to be kind of like a pig, but we want him to be different and maybe a bit hokey, and what can you do with that? And then they come back and say, what about this? And we say, oh, that's awesome, thank you very much. And then that cycle can turn around, or we can say, oh, can you make him a bit more like stupid looking, or can you make him funny looking, or whatever. And usually they surprise us with what they give us, and it's always a pleasant surprise. Like their imagination is a totally different direction than maybe we would have taken it, and that makes the game better. Like it's another source of input, I think. So yeah, it's really good.
So what's different in developing a game when you're on your own, as opposed to when you have a publisher who's helping financing and perhaps steering a little bit the direction of the development?
Yeah, I mean that's the main thing, is the steering. I think interferes a lot with the game. You can't take a risk you can't take as many risks when you're working for a publisher because they can say no. And they can say no on things that you absolutely, truly think are the right thing for the game. And I think in the case where you don't have a publisher, it's your risk, it's your dime, it's your time, and you're putting your ass on the line, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But on the other hand, you can take a risk on something that could turn out to be truly great. So, I definitely prefer the non-publisher, and I guess every indie studio, no matter how big, strives for that. And like there are different ways of getting income, but I think that of course sometimes you have to rely on the publisher model. But I think fundamentally, we want to steer, or everybody I think wants to steer away so that they're their own masters, right? So.
That perhaps also where Kickstarter and such crowdfunding things come into play as well.
Yeah, like Kickstarter I think is an amazing idea. I think whoever goes on that thing, they have to be really careful about really looking after their customer base and making sure that they're communicating really clearly, because I think the communication, it could quite easily break down, and I haven't really seen a big example of it yet, but I'm expecting one day soon for an example to come where it doesn't work out and people are getting upset about it and they're throw their arms in the air. So, but I think for the most part people are going to do well by their customers, and if they keep communicating, then the customers won't be surprised at the end. Which is actually one of the benefits, to go back to the release schedule thing, one of the benefits of releasing every 2 weeks is it really keeps us honest. And so that's the same thing as communicating with the customer all the time, getting their feedback. And they won't be shocked and surprised, and hopefully they'll be very, very happy at the end of it. So.
And in a way, the way you do it with having people pay to get into the beta and that sort of thing is keeping you a little bit more agile than if you had certain stretch goals, certain specifics locked down at the start of a Kickstarter campaign, and then sort of have to deliver on it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of agile development in general and anything lean. I think we don't practice very technically agile, but we are agile. Everything is the minimum to get things working, and even if it doesn't look great, we make it look just good enough, and then ship it and get people to comment on it and feedback, because then we can fail early and fail often, the whole kind of mantra, right? So it's definitely a good way to go in my book. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
You